Good evening, guys. Welcome back. This is Donna Sharpe with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you so much for joining me here on day 543 of doing these lives as we are winding down speaking from the book, How to Create Strong Families. Of course, yesterday we took an intermission because it was Father's Day, and I wanted to make sure that I just share some inspiring words for all of our fathers and our dads. So if you did not get a chance to see that, I'm going to encourage you to go back and take a look again, or should I say a listen, and then share it with someone in your circle, guys, that you may know that needed to hear those words as well, if you were able to listen to it as a dad. So tonight what I'm going to be speaking about is we're winding down to the end of this book. But first, let me just introduce myself. I am Donna Sharpe. I am your holistic and wellness life coach. What makes me tick is seeing individuals care for themselves, not just from a physical and a nutritional standpoint, but also from a spiritual standpoint, which is the number one focus, and watching their minds cultivate as they're mold and shaped, as the Lord molds them and shape them into exactly what He desires them to be. And you'll see that all the results following that will just fall right in place. Now you can see I'm outside again. I cannot get enough of nature, of God's beauty, of God's just wonderful, wonderful beauty and blessings. So I'm here, as you can see, the moringa tree right behind me is just flowing in the wind. The wind is just nice. Of course, the sun is out, but nothing beats a good set of vitamin D that you get from the natural sun. So I'm going to bask in it for just a moment. So in the summary section, basically what it does, it talks a little bit about what Richard and Linda Airy's children actually were able to achieve as a result in focusing on the mission from this book, which was engaging themselves in activities that's going to help them to become a strong family. And what they did was they focused directly on their children and taught them all the basics of life, things that we feel a lot of individuals don't necessarily spend the time, a lot of parents, with their children teaching, right? So we spoke a lot on the financial aspects and how to do a checkbook, and we spoke about how to divvy up the roles and responsibility between all the members of the family, children and adults, and then how everyone can participate in that piece so that no one feels left out and everyone's learning at the same time. And we also spoke about traditions. How do you take the traditions that your existing traditions that your family has right now and just continue to work along those traditions with your children, and then watch them as they mature. Either they take it and run with it later on when they become adults, or they may add to it, or they may say, you know what, I don't like what you guys did, so we're going to just step away from that right now. So greetings, good evening, thank you for joining. So the proof is in the program. First, let me start off by saying that the struggle for this family in the book, that what they spoke on, they made it very clear that even though they wrote this book and they spoke on these particular issues, it was tough for them as well while they're at home working through the process. You can teach everything that you want, but everything is a process, and it takes all of us 100% streaming in and working through the process. Hi, Miss Wanda, thank you for joining, and putting it all in action. So they made that very clear, that they putting these things in action in the book that we taught, for the past 2 months. It was not an easy journey for them, but they managed to get through it, and they were able to see the residual effects of their children as they got older. I'm going to share some of that with you, not all of it, because it's a little in length, right? The second thing is you will fall short, is what they mentioned, because sometimes things may work out the way you expected, and then other times it may not. It may just backfire. So you will fall short. There's times that you may not necessarily want to do those activities that we spoke about in the book, but you want to make sure that you're keeping your wheels to the grind, so to speak, so that you can actually see those results. It's not easy. Sometimes you may get up in the morning and you have a task to do, and you look at your list and you're going, man, I don't feel like doing that today. But it's those moments where you don't feel like doing something is when you need to do it the most. So have that stick-to-itiveness that it takes to achieve those goals that you're trying to achieve. And then the proof is in the program. Many of the items that we spoke about from this book were program-driven and program-oriented. It was set up for a particular reason. It had some structure to it. And it also had follow-up goals to it, because that's the only way that you're going to follow through and get these programs completed. All right. So I'm going to just share some of the benefits that these children were able to receive as a result of partaking with Linda and Richard throughout this process, and give you an idea where they are. So let me just share the journey of the children and where they are now as a result of them going through the program with their mom and dad. So years did pass and the older children left for college and other pursuits. Now as we finish this book, 4 of our children have started to write back to us about their childhood, helping us to improve our perspective on the 3 steps and helping us to measure how effective they were. All right. So of course they experienced it from their parents, and now they're writing back home and they're saying, listen, you guys taught us these things. Let me tell you where I am in this process. So here's where they all are. They actually traveled out of the area away from their parents, and here's where some of them went. One child, Sadie, is in her first year of college, while the other 3 have chosen to take a break from their studies for humanitarian services and missionary work. What better work to do, right? I think that's a great thing. And then our daughter, Sarin, is in Bulgaria. And they have another child, Shawnee, who is in Romania. And Josh is in England. So funny enough, they all went international. I don't know if they're trying to run away from their parents, or these were just adventures that they were actually looking at while they were younger children. But that's pretty dynamic how they were able to do that. Their lives, like ours, are not perfect, but their letters home are among the most precious things in our lives. They also provide valuable evidence that the hard work we did for them had results, which motivates us to keep trying with our other 5 children. Wow, they have a lot of children. But they're sharing here that even though they went through the long haul of placing all of these chores and activities in action throughout this book, it paid off in the long run when they became young adults and traveled off to pretty much partake in things that they had interest in, right? As I mentioned, no 2 families are alike. You can only teach them and give them what you need to give them and let them take it and run with it from there. So their lives, like ours, are not perfect, but their letters home are among the most precious things in our lives. They also provide valuable evidence that the hard work we did for them paid off and motivates us to keep trying. So here's an example that they gave. We both smiled when we got our first letter from our brand new college freshman who could hardly wait to get away from home. And this is what he writes. He says, he or she, we'll see in just a moment here. Oh, I miss you. Thank you so much for the package. Those cookies totally hit the spot. They were so good. I'm getting a little sick of food here. I can't wait to come home and eat the best food in the world. Made in our own kitchen. Every day I realize more and more how many things you did for me that I completely took for granted. You're all so wonderful. I don't deserve you. You are the greatest ever. Love, Sadie. So Sadie expressed her warm feelings, just being homesick and understanding that the things that her parents did for her is something that she appreciated. And they were all of them on similar terms wrote letters to their parents, just showing what the effects were of their parents engaging in them and speaking about these activities in length, so that they want to make sure that they get the results, the net results that they're looking for, right? And then from Romania comes this wisdom. Here's what she shares. Yeah, this is Shawnee. She says, I understand more and more each day the importance of family as I see how it affects people's lives. The family is such an amazing base and foundation, a pattern for good and right. In America, it seems that so often the family is treated as so unimportant. The media has made it so that the morally unacceptable is becoming totally acceptable. The scariest thing is what I read the other day about the gradual normalization of aberration. These gentle Romanian people are so good, so innocent with the barrage of media that we are used to. The happiest people ever, though they have absolutely nothing in terms of worldly possessions, are the ones with the strong families. What a concept, right? I'm so grateful for all of our crazy family. Send me those quotes about stepping out into darkness and the Shakespeare one about the toad. A couple of those phrases have slipped my mind, and I want to put them up on our refrigerator. Love, Shawnee. So there you go. There's another one of their child who speaks about the adventure that she had while she was home, but she found an appreciation while she's in Romania. She noticed that because her parents poured so much into her, the one thing that she was able to look forward to is understanding when there is less, there's really more, right? It's the appreciation that they had, not having much, but still having the complete love of life. And that's what it all should be about. So I'm going to share one more with you, and then I'll continue the rest tomorrow. And this one, let's see. We giggled at the following letter. Here's another letter from one of their other child. From our daughter in Bulgaria, who had left feeling desperate for some privacy, right? And quite certain that she was right about nearly everything. So this is what she writes. She says, I love you all so, she exaggerates the so much. Every time I think about you guys, I feel like my heart is about to burst with joy. Every one of you has taught me so much. So again, and just more appreciation. Guys, listen, you cannot give enough to your children. You understand me? When you pour into them and you do the very best that you can and you're doing it with sincerity, you will find that it will go a long way. It speaks volumes as it comes to caring for them and placing them first in all that you do. But number one thing is I'm going to encourage you to do is pray for your children. All right, pray for protection, because everyone out there is not out for their good. All right, because the devil comes to steal and destroy. Pray for them. Pray for covering over your children, because you're not going to always be in their sight, and vice versa. So, but when you put that effort in that you're supposed to put in, and as I mentioned yesterday, when you're not disrespecting them, you're meeting them halfway, you're actively listening to them, you're placing goals and action on paper, and you're also riding along with it to the very end and following it through to the end to see the results of it, then you will find out where all the work that you have done has gone. So it's not about just us. Remove yourself from the picture. They are our next generation. And what you do with them right now will determine the life that they live when we are long gone from here. We want to make sure that we've left a legacy behind, something for them to build on, give them a foundation, give them good structure, right? It's not a hard thing to do. But the number one thing, too, I will tell you, is that when you are out there just running, and you're disregarding your children, and then they grow up, you're going to look back and you're going to regret that, because you're going to say, wait a minute, how come my children grow so fast? It's not that they grew fast. It's just you did not dedicate the proper time to seeing them on their journey as they're blossoming from youngest of youngest to the adolescents to teen and to young adults. So spend the time where the time is needed. The time is now. It's not tomorrow. You may put off your diet plan and say, listen, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. Don't do that to your children. You can do it to yourself, but don't do it to them. Give them the utmost love, the unconditional love that they need, and support them in every possible way that you can. All right? When we pour into our children, pour into ourselves. Absolutely, Miss Wanda. It's awesome that one of our children requested quotes that had been taught. But yeah, they never forget that. It follows them through the very end. And it's the least little thing, Miss Wanda, that you will notice that they request. You'll have some of them, they'll bring something up that they like, that you did, and you may not even be aware that's something that they enjoyed until they reference it, right? So watch their hot buttons, see what makes them tick, and then when you find out, continue doing it, because you'll see that it makes a world of difference to them. So guys, if you love what you heard tonight, I'm going to ask you to share this with a family member or a friend in your circle. Most of all, if you hit the love button, I don't care for the thumbs up. Put your finger on the like and slide your finger up, and if you look across, you'll see a bunch more icons. One of them is a love button. And love this live today if you don't mind. And then go on to my website. It's holisticwellbeing.com. It's spelled with a W, WHOLELISTIC, wellbeing.com. And click on the About section first before you peruse the site, although my site is still under some construction. But read my biography, and there you'll find out why I'm so passionate about what I do. You'll find out why I'm qualified to coach individuals like I do. But beyond that, I just thank you all for your support. It means more than you know. And I'll be back again here on day 544 to share some additional insight as we're slowly winding down to the end. I wanted to give you a summary and give you their feedback from Linda and Richard. And most of all, just share the children's experience with you, because that's where it all mattered, with all of the work that they both did. All right? So Wanda, thank you so much for joining. Kamitia. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for joining as well. And I'm going to tune back in tomorrow again in front of my moringa tree just to share some additional insights with you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Please be safe. Please, please, please be safe. Love on those that don't want you to love them. Just love on them anyway, and just share God's blessings with them, and you'll see exactly how they'll turn around. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Take care. Ciao.